You're tuning in to Superstar Radio.
Now,
Shout out to Shakur.
how did you get on Mobwives?
Well, the question is, how did I get on? I should have been on first season. Not that I should have. I was approached to be on first season, but I
Okay.
had a lot of things going on, some personal issues, some legal issues.
Yeah.
I was just fresh back into the country, and I had to turn it down. I kind of wanted also, in a sense, make people do a test drive to make sure the car be driving right before I threw myself into it.
Wow.
So it all worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you put a crash dummy in there and they crash.
Let the
You
show
them
go
burn.
and then you come.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
if not, you let the big guns in come in later. Happen
All
like
right.
that.
So let me ask you something. Now,
Yeah.
you did the fantastic Sharon Stone flip the leg. I'm just saying.
I have panties on, so we're gonna go 100% like that.
No, you did it. You did it correct.
Uh-huh.
You did it correct. All right. Now let me ask you something. How did this drama with Drita happen?
Let's keep it short. The drama with Drita goes way before the whole year. They all have been following her because, of course, Drita doesn't want to mention me before that because why would you want to mention
Yeah.
the word competition?
Wow.
Nobody likes that. So it just goes back to that major word, competition. It goes back to the word of her evilness grows from jealousy. Plain and simple. She could say or spit it whichever way it is. The people that she rounds herself that might be my people, they all know the truth. So it's better to keep me to the left because if you keep me to the left, she could have her shine. But if I come next to you, your shine's going to be taken.
So
Wow.
this has nothing to do with you riding out with,
Karen
with
I'll ride
Karen.
with, but if Karen is wrong, I'll put her in a place in a private way, the same she would do to me.
Right.
But Karen is allowed to like people that she wants. I'm allowed to like people that I want. We may not like the same people, but I will never want to be friends with or loyal to someone that kind of did Karen wrong. We'd keep Drita at bay. I messed with Drita when I first came home, but certain things that I didn't like about her, but I still kept quiet like a lady because we messed
Yeah.
with the same friends. But when things just started coming out like they were too nasty, things started getting ugly.
So how do you feel about the people that are saying that watched that episode, they feel like you and Karen kind of tag team her? What do you have to say about that?
You know what? They could say whatever they want because if they're really going to sit there and evaluate themselves, their minds are probably really small because to sit there and go upon a show that you're only following for a year, a show that you're only following for, if you really sit and you get your clocks out and you do the commercials and you do the times when they're adding stuff that was just redone 2 minutes ago,
Yeah.
how much you really seen?
Right.
You know what I mean? You're only being led to believe that what people are showing you. Let's go down to the basic facts. The girl in general is lying. She's not a mob wife. Her man ain't in the mob. There's the major point.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so how do you feel that, she's part of that show and her blood, of course, her bloodline is not.
It's not even about bloodline. It's a matter of the fact you can't speak on a history that you never lived it. But that's neither here nor there. You can't speak on something that maybe your man ain't really affiliated with. But then again, I came through like a real woman because at the end of the day, we're all mothers and there's enough money in this whole program that everybody should share. She didn't want that. She's not a sharer. It all has to be me, me, me. So that's why you're going to see in a couple of episodes, it's all about trickery and it's all about what Drita said. But you know what? I ain't saying nothing to Drita, and that's going to be proven in time if you kind of invest in me. You don't have to, but if you're intelligent, you'll see. Because all the things that she said is to her. She ain't God, I ain't telling her nothing, but we'll let her play her game because at the end, all, things that are truth will rise to the top. That's all.
Do you ever think this will end?
You know what? For me, it is over because, unless somebody brings her name up to me like this and I have to talk upon, other than that, I have so much more going on in my life. My storyline, not even storyline, my life is real. Whatever they're going to follow me, it's something that really is going on. I don't need to, sit there and, kind of fabricate stuff. It is what it is. I come from really what I come from and my life on the everyday, really what it is. I don't need to go brag about me beating up people. That ain't me. If it happens, I'm only a form of protecting myself, but I have so much more to offer people. I'm a lady.
And then when you talk about your background, exactly, can you tell us a little bit, fill us in about that?
Well, again, my background is, as far as this world is affiliated, which I like to speak upon, is my grandfather. The movie Donnie Brasco was about him. My grandfather was Lefty Gun Ruggiero. The FBI agent, basically was undercover. He, was with my grandfather as his friend. But, people will be like, oh my God, you hate that FBI agent. You know what, when it's said and done, that FBI agent was just doing his job, and it would be really ignorant for me to say I hate him. He's on one side of the fence, we're on the other. But there are FBI, the FBI also is here in this country to protect us. So for me, I don't hate him. He had to do what he had to do. Supposedly my grandfather did what he had to do. Whatever. That has nothing to do with me. I'm not here to speak upon men's lives and what men do, because if you're dealing with a real man never tells you his business. And that's how my grandfather was with me.
That's real right there.
Yeah.
So your family, involved with these things, I know that it's loyalty. Do you co-sign? Like, you can't really say Donnie Brasco, whoever he was a snitch because he was doing his job. It wasn't like an ordinary guy that, was a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about an ordinary person that's a part of this and, they tell? Because I always look at...
Listen, again, everybody in life are accountable for their own actions, and why people may or may not snitch, only they know the truth. So for me to sit here and speak upon it, I really can't answer that. Do I think it's 100% right in the in the culture we grew up in? No, but there might be a reason that made them do it. So I'm not them, so I can't judge them. I really feel by that expression, you can't judge me unless you are me. So whatever they did for them, because in this world it was their choice. So I don't know what those decisions were to make them do it. So I can't sit here and judge them. Do I think that, the world would be better off without it? Yes. But if people really in the beginning weren't doing dirty, there was nothing to be ratting on.
Definitely.
In this type of situation where there's not a lot of people that you can trust, how do you go about deciding who are friends and frenemies? Because I know we all have situations with that. I think sometimes you just gotta go by your gut feeling, and just sometimes you have to kind of withstand a frenemy because they might be friends with somebody that you are close with, and you kind of don't want to make any rifts. And that's basically what I did with Drita. I had to keep certain things private. I knew she was talking smack about me, but she was friends with my other girls, and I'm not gonna sit here per se be a rat and put her, put what I knew out there. I just let it roll, and eventually all the cards were laid out on the table, and this is why we're here, dealing what we are dealing with.
All right, on the show, who do you consider as a friend?
I consider Karen a friend. Big Ange, we have family history ties. I know her, I'll hang out with her if we're in the atmosphere. She's a cool lady. Carla, I only know her through certain people. I did know her before the show, regardless of what she may have said last year, on the last episode. Oh, no, sweetie pie. We had pictures together. We have a common friend. I was at the sizzle reel when they were pitching the show, so that right there is false. But maybe, that was her character or the moment, whatever she felt like she was saying, we weren't cool in that. So I'll let that slide. But Drita, no, not my friend. Renee, she's like the crazy cousin. She goes up, she goes down, but she'll always get a free pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
I really like the cast. They're all so different, amazing. Yeah.
More fights or?
As of right now, we're hoping not.
You're hoping not, but you're ready to rumble anytime.
I'm not ready to rumble. I'm just always ready to protect myself, because if I protect myself, I'm protecting my fortune.
So, are you married still, or?
No.
Boyfriend?
Are you still with the guy that on the show, the one?
I'm emotionally attached to the heart. Yes. The heart is occupied.
That's like
so he'll whip somebody's ass if they'll whip somebody's ass.
Very good
He'll whip somebody's ass? Well, right now he's incarcerated. I don't think that's possible, but he would be very offended.
Okay, so she's off limits.
How is it having to deal with that?
Listen, in any situation, if you're, in a relationship or you just have somebody you love or care about, like which I dealt with my whole life with my grandfather, it's not an easy situation. It's a limited situation. But like I said, in general, you cannot turn off your emotions if somebody's locked up. Being if they're your man, being if they're just, someone you mess with, or being that someone is your family. Your heart is your heart. And there's all different levels of your heart.
You should always stay loyal.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just go give up on somebody, being that, they're incarcerated. There'll be days that he wants to give up on me, not that he wants to set me free because he feels that I deserve, in a sense, more. So it's kind of like a little bit of a struggle. But, whatever God's gonna have for us, God's gonna do for us. You're tuning in to Superstar Radio.